morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the last chapter, which is EDI. So the last chapter is 18th lesson. So you have 18.3, 18.4, 18.5, 18.6 and 18.7. So 18.1 and 2 are removed in your reduced syllabus. But even though we'll see a gist of the introduction to EDI in 18.1, and then we'll proceed to 18.3 and we'll go on, right? So what is EDI is, we'll see first the introduction of EDI. So EDI is electronic data interchange, and it is the exchange of business documents between one trade partner and another trade partner electronically. Okay, so it is used to transfer the documents such as delivery notes, invoices, purchase orders, advance ship notice, functional acknowledgements, etc. Excuse me. So it is mainly B2B, whereas whenever you order goods or when you purchase goods, the invoices or the bill amounts or the bills or the purchase orders, each and everything will be sent electronically through the network to the buyer from the seller side. Okay, and if there is any clarifications or if there is any addition amount or something like that, it is also done electronically itself. So that is electronic data interchange. So now see here, the purchase order from the buyer side okay, is sent to the supplier through the internet itself and through the network, through the buyer system to the supplier system, and from there the invoice is again sent to the buyer in the same process. Okay, so before the invention of EDI, what happens is all the documents are in the form of paper. So the paper form, it is very risk to manage, and it involves many process. It involves human intervention in between it. For example, if a buyer want to send the purchase order to the supplier, before EDI, what happens is he send the document in the paper, which is in the paper form, through the letter. Okay, he puts it into the envelope and he paste the stamp over it. Okay, and he writes the from address and to address, and then he goes to the post office, he puts the letter, and from there the postman takes the letter and then he gives it to the receiver. Okay, so this is without EDI. And here what happens is, the paper may be missed or the paper may be damaged, it may be stolen, and even the postmaster may be missed out the form or missed out the letter, or if the receiver is not there, it may be returned to the post office itself. And so like this, several disadvantages are there without EDI. And then due to the manual intervention, the calculations may be missed out. Okay, the sum may be error. So like this, you have several disadvantages. And here after the invention of this EDI, okay, it has several standards, protocols like that. So what happens is, and then it also takes time. Okay, if the letter wants to reach the receiver side, it takes maximum 2 days, 3 days, depends upon the distance. So but after the invention of this EDI, what happens is, all these disadvantages have been totally it has been fully automized thing, so that it is very easy to manage, it is very easy to convey the message, it is very easy to send reports within the within fraction of seconds. So there is no any manual intervention. Okay, so like this you have several advantages in this EDI. So these documents are transferred directly from the computer of the issuing company to that of the receiving company with great time saving. EDI is paperless trade, you underline this, and EFT is electronic transfer, and which is paperless payment. So this is the EDI process. So the buyer generates the purchase order, and then he fax it or he mails it, and then the supplier got the mail or the purchase order which has been generated by the buyer, and then he makes an invoice, and then he again mails to the buyer side. Okay, so everything is done through the network itself, through the system and with the help of internet itself. And this is about the introduction of EDI. And the Edward A. Gilbert is called as the father of EDI. You underline this. So Edward Gilbert is called the father of EDI. And then we directly move on to 18.3, which is advantages of EDI. So what are the advantages of EDI? Is it improves service to the end user, and this is a 3-mark question. Advantages of EDI: it improves service to the end user, it increases productivity, it minimizes the errors, and it slashes the response time because it is very fast through the help of internet. And automation of operations. Automation is nothing but it is fully system oriented. There is no any human interventions. Cutting of cost, integrating all business and trading partners, providing information on process status, optimizing the financial ratios. Okay, so what is this optimizing the financial ratios is? Financial ratios is nothing but profit and loss. Okay, it optimizes the gap between the profit and loss. Can you understand? So it optimizes the gap between the profit and loss. So these are the advantages of EDI. And then the 8.4, you have EDI layers, whereas this is also a 2-mark or 3-mark question. So you have 4 types of layers. You have 4 layers, which is semantic layer, standard translation layer, transport layer, and physical layer. So this electronic data interchange architecture specifies all these 4 layers, whereas the semantic layer is nothing but your application layer, where the sender sends the purchase order or purchase order following the standard translation layer. So here you have EDI structures or EDI standards. Okay, so the sender, what he should do is he should follow this standard EDI standards, and then after framing these EDI standards, he should follow this transport layer. So what is this transport layer? It connects the sender and the receiver. Okay, from where to where it has to be sent. Okay, so how to send is the 4th one. So this is physical layer. Maybe it can be sent through cables, that is through network. So this last one is network layer, first one is your application layer. Okay, so the sender, what it does is, for example, he is a buyer, he want to purchase something. Okay, so he generates the purchase order. Okay, so he typed in the form of JPEG or in the form of PDF or something like that. So then he translates it with the EDI standards. Then what he does is, then he choose to whom he has to be sent. Okay, to whom it has to be sent, right? So this transport layer chooses the buyer and the it connects the buyer, sender and the receiver. And then last one is how he should send it, right? Whether it has to be the network is with the in the form of cables, or So the last one is your network layer. So from here it connects the buyer and the sender and the receiver, and then through what means it has to be sent. Okay, so whether the network has been connected through cable, or it has been connected with the satellite, or it is connected with the mobile network, so it checks for it. So these are the 4 layers of EDI. And then you have EDI components. Okay, this is also another 3-mark question, which is EDI components. So you have 4 major components in EDI, whereas first one is standard document format, second one is a translator and a mapper, third one is communication software, and fourth one is communication network. Okay, so the first one is standard document format is how the document should be prepared, whether it has to be prepared in certain format, such as it may be a PDF format, or it may be a JPEG format, it may be a text format, Word file, anything like that. So it has to be followed certain standardization for the documentation. Okay, and then it has to be the second component is a translator and a mapper. So what it does is, the translator, it translates the document as EDI document following the EDI standards. Okay, so when I created a PDF, and then if I want to send it to my receiver, what it does is, the second component, what it checks is whether it has been following the particular EDI standard documentation format. So that the translator checks. And then mapper is nothing but it always has a connection between the sender and the receiver, because both will have a unique ID. Okay, so the sender machine always maps to the receiver's machine. It may be a unique ID, or it may be his location, like that. And then the third one is communication software. So communication software is nothing but, once the documentation is being ready and it has been translated, okay, it has been translated with the EDI standards, and it has been mapped to the receiver, and then how it has been sent, or through which software, or to which software it has been converted through the it has been converted to the EDI standards. Okay, for example, if I generated a mail, or if I created a mail, and if I want to send it to the receiver, means I should have a software which is called as a Gmail. Okay, so like this EDI also has a special software for communication. And then the last one is the sending process. So it always have a network, it should always have a network, data network, to be sent to the receiver side. So these are the 4 major components of EDI. And then you have EDI standards. Okay, so the EDI standards are having 8 standards, starting from, you have basic standards, code standards, message standards, document standards, management standards, application standards, communication standards, and security standards. So to send a document from the sender to the receiver, EDI provides these 8 standards, and it should satisfy all these 8 standards, and then only it is allowed to send it to the receiver side. Okay, it has to be follow certain basic rules, and then how it has to be translated, how the message should be, in which format your document should be. Okay, so all this has been regulated in the EDI standards. So these are the 8 standards. And then the first EDI standard was TDCC, which is Transportation Data Coordinating Committee, and it was developed in the year 1975. And then in 1979, the ANSI ASC which is American National Institute Accredited Standard Committee, developed a wider range of EDI. And then again the European region developed an integrated EDI standard known as GTDI, Guideline for Trade Data Interchange. Okay, so starting from 1975, several organizations created their own standards and created their own EDI standards. Okay, so you underline all these things. These things will be asked in one mark question. TDCC, which is Transportation Data Coordinating Committee, ANSI ASC in 1979, and then GTDI by European region. So what happens is the UN organization developed a common EDI standards because it has been getting modified by each and every committee of people as their own wish. Okay, the EDI standards. But what this UN organization did is they integrated all the EDIs, and then they developed a common EDI standards where the whole world should follow this EDI standards alone. Okay, so these common EDI standards was UN EDIFACT, which is United Nations Electronic Data Interchange for Administration, Commerce and Transport, and it was officially proposed in the year 1986. Okay, and now this is the common EDIFACT which we are the whole globe is using the EDI standards to send document electronically. Okay, so till here we will stop. The next thing we will see in detail about the UN EDIFACT, and this is a very important 5-mark question, and this is the last part of your syllabus, and here your syllabus ends. Thank you, children.